Steve Adubato, more importantly, we are here at the annual Reentry Conference. This is held by the New Jersey Reentry Corporation. It's called The Road to Salvation from Addiction to Employment. We're in Jersey City at St. Peter's University. There are several folks that are here today, prominent folks, important folks, people who care deeply about reentry of those who have been in prison and the question of addiction. And one of those folks is with us right now. We've had the honor of interviewing the First Lady of the great state of New Jersey many times, Tammy Snyder Murphy. Good to see you. Good to see you too. You just spoke at this conference. Opening remarks, main message was and is?
Essentially that it's a moral obligation to fix our racial disparity in our state, and particularly racial disparity as with respect to incarceration and, for me, infant and maternal mortality, which is connected.
Do you think most folks understand the severity of this problem unless they are experiencing it themselves?
I do not think most folks pay attention, honestly, sadly, which is hard to fathom. We have the highest rate of incarceration in the country.
New Jersey does.
New Jersey. 41,000 people in New Jersey are incarcerated right now. 10,000 of those people will be let out of jail this year. And of those 10,000 who are let out, you will find that 50% of them are going to be rearrested and 30% of them are going to go back to jail. Mm. You know, if you look at the fact that it costs $54,000 a year per person to keep someone incarcerated versus what Jim McGreevy's doing at $2,200 to help people reenter society, it's a no-brainer. We have to fix this. We can fix it.
A very serious discussion, but the addiction part of it, talk to us about that. You've got the incarceration issue complicated by the opioid crisis, the addiction crisis, makes it even harder to reenter, find employment, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. There's no question. I mean, I look at this almost exclusively through the lens of infant and maternal health outcomes.
A big focus of yours.
A big focus of mine. And, you know, there's no question that there is systemic racism in our society. It's been there for a long time, and that is the biggest problem that we have with these mortality and the recidivism rates. You know, when I look at the opioid crisis that you're talking about, I think about the fact that every 25 minutes across the United States, a child is born with neonatal abstinence syndrome. That means that a child is born addicted to drugs every 25 minutes across our country. And that baby has to go through withdrawal in the first moments of its life.
Talk about adverse childhood experiences, otherwise known as ACEs, which you and I talked about in Princeton a few months back. How adverse is that experience?
It's terrible. I mean, it's. I think that speaks volumes.
And what's our responsibility there? Not just as a government, as a state government, as a federal government, but as a people, as a society. What's our responsibility?
Our responsibility, our moral obligation, is to address this head on and not assume that because someone is addicted that, you know, that they need to be incarcerated and they don't need help.
Could you tell us about the Nurture NJ initiative? I know there are multiple agencies involved. It's very much committed to New Jersey women and children. Talk about it.
Okay, so really quickly, just 30 seconds on background. Back when Phil came into office 15 months ago, we found out that New Jersey ranks 45th out of 50th in the nation in terms of maternal mortality. When you dig down into that, you find out that it's not just maternal mortality. There is a vast disparity, ethnic disparity, and 60% of the women who die due to pregnancy complications are women of color. Nearly 50% are Black women, and about 15% are Latina. Mm. So understanding that tells you that we have problems not just with the health outcomes, which I had initially assumed. So when we started out, we had 2 cabinet members who were involved in trying to help us fix the scourge in our state. And we now today have 14 cabinet members who are involved. 14. And that tells you that this is everything from transportation, childcare, education, reentry, opioid addiction. I mean, it literally touches everything because you've got agriculture there next to Department of Banking and Insurance. You've got
health. Excuse me for
DEP.
interrupting. Health. By the way, we're going to put up our website from right from the start.
Sure.
NJ, which we've talked to the First Lady about before. The Department of Health. It seems logical to me, but now you're talking about the Department of Insurance and Bank.
Sure. So
how so?
So I sped through that, but I will tell you, first of all, I had assumed naively that it was only to do with health disparities.
That's what I thought.
I assumed that it was access to health care either before delivery or postpartum. It turns out that it is just so many different problems across society, and like I was saying, so. It's lack of insurance. That's why Adobe's involved. It is
Department of Banking and Insurance.
Exactly. Department of Banking and Insurance is involved because people don't have access to insurance.
Why agriculture?
Agri is involved because people don't have access to food.
Wow.
Environmental protection is involved because we have lead in the water, or we have high rates of asthma in cities like Newark. So everybody is coming together, and that's the beauty of it. Because initially, I think everyone was in their own silo, and no one really thought about what they were doing here was impacting someone over there. And now everybody, it's all hands on deck.
And that is, in fact, Nurture NJ, right?
So Nurture NJ is taking everything we did last year and putting it under one umbrella. And as we go forward, it includes also the Family Festival Series, which is, I could spend another half hour telling you about that, but it's Family Festival Series, which targets cities that have high rates of infant and maternal mortality or preterm births or things like that, where we go in and kind of provide a one-stop shop. But it's going to have the Family Festival Series. It's all the work that's going on within the administration. It's all the stakeholders who are outside who are collaborating with us. It's the annual summit that we hold to try and come up with short, medium, and long-term solutions. And it's a big social media campaign to try and get the word out, which is where you started.
The First Lady of the great state of New Jersey, Tammy Snyder Murphy, has joined us many times, but once again here at St. Peter's University in Jersey City for this Reentry Conference. She joined us to talk about a whole range of other important issues, and once again, you honor us by being with us.
Thanks, Steve.
All the best.
Okay, thanks.
State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 30 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of State of Affairs with Steve Adubato has been provided by Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, NJ Best, New Jersey's 529 College Savings Plan, the New Jersey Education Association, Community Food Bank of New Jersey, Guarini Institute for Government and Leadership at St. Peter's University, International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 825, and by the Fidelco Group. Promotional support provided by the New Jersey Business and Industry Association and by Tap Into TV.